So hello and welcome to another episode of Cúilín Media. That I'll be joined by Aaron Prendergast tonight as we discuss this weekend's club action plus a few GA stories, breaking the headlines here and there. Obviously, we're without Seamus and Liam tonight. They have other commitments, but myself and Aaron will discuss as many of the games as possible in this episode. Obviously, I won't go into one particular game, but Aaron should cover that game in detail, I'm sure. But yeah, Aaron, Club Championship, it's hitting the big stages now. You look at semi-finals, there's a lot of them up and down the country. Provincial championships, there's a few quarterfinals in football to sort out. Obviously, Leinster won in Munster because of obviously the pushback with the Tipperary Championship. So we're really into semi-finals at this stage now, and the LGFA and Camogie at final stages. So how are you keeping?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good to be back on the show again. Obviously wasn't on last week. I was away in Manchester for work on the Sunday, and then previous Thursday I had a bad old case of the man flu. So good to be back on and discussing the games. Yeah, some cracking games this weekend. Definitely does heat up. Some big games. Obviously, you'll be involved in one of them very closely in Ballygunner versus Sarsfields. Like, it probably looks like the pick of the action in terms of games, but yeah, there's some other interesting ones as well, like a Toy Summerhill. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Obviously taking place on the Saturday. So you have a lot of big games happening like this weekend across the board. I think you've got the Ulster Senior Hurling semi-finals, a lot of other kind of semi-finals like you mentioned previously as well. So yeah, looking forward to kind of diving into the games and discussing them in more detail.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get into it, obviously, we love to see the comments coming in. Peter Griffin obviously leading charge with the comments here and there. So, hey, lads, best wishes to Tommy Jogger Doyle on his retirement. Class hurler, key man for Westmeath over 13 seasons. Interesting interview with Sean Rafferty on the Smaller Fish this week. Do you know of any players that was awarded an All-Star in their debut season? Would definitely be a good quiz question. Or do you know the answer to that, Aaron? I really don't, to be honest with you, off the top of my head anyway.
Con maybe, because like his debut season was 17, wasn't it? I don't think he played in 16.
Could be.
Yeah.
Never know.
I think he did get an All-Star that year, didn't he? I think he did.
Yeah, he probably did. I definitely remember him getting Young Player of the Year because Sean Poulter was nominated, actually, and Johnny Heaney. So 3 very good players to be fair. But Con did get Young Player of the Year. He definitely got an All-Star that year, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah. Maybe someone can correct us in the comments or something like that. But yeah.
Peter saying here, another topical topic for this time of year. Some counties like Meath and Dublin are hosting regional games with selections and junior and senior players trials by another name, but seems like a good idea. Peter again, he's leading charge really. Interesting appointment of Donegal's former coach of the Derry backroom team, and obviously Luke Barrett, I think he means there. And speaking of Donegal, did you see the story where $5,000 worth of footballs were stolen at a training base? Jeez, Peter, you have insight. That being Yeah, but a lot of insight there. But two new stories that we were familiar with before going on air, obviously, were the retirements, inter-county retirements. Peter did mention one of them of Tommy Doyle, the Westmeath fullback, and obviously Cúilín Clark, the Cavan fullback, obviously retired from inter-county football as well. For Tommy Doyle, Aaron, I've seen Conor McKenna from Westmeath actually tweet about him earlier, saying he was one of the best, probably underrated hurlers that we've seen in our generation. Had brilliant seasons in 2017 and 2022. Obviously, Cúilín Clark, obviously Ulster winner with Cavan. He did very well for the Breffni County over the years. Probably a staple in that Cavan team over the years. And when you look at, I think there's a bit of probably media, I would say negativity in Cavan at this present moment in time. Dermot McCabe's been appointed as manager. There isn't really positivity there. It's not really a good thing going into the Alliance or the National Football League, obviously, with a car coming around the corner and at the end of January, as the provisional fixtures would indicate. So yeah, Cúilín Clark leaving the Cavan panel and Tommy Doyle leaving the Westmeath panel. Thoughts on those retirements?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose firstly on Tommy Doyle, yeah, like he was a phenomenal hurler, definitely hugely underrated in many regards. And it is probably one of them because he was playing, a little bit kind of lower down in the ranks in terms of the Joe McDonough and obviously in the Leinster Championship for a couple of years. But yeah, phenomenal player. Remember he played an integral part, I think, that day as well when they beat Wexford a couple of years ago in that kind of famous win. captained the team in 2018, I think it was. So yeah, phenomenal fullback really. Obviously there's another Doyle in Cúilín Doyle who probably gets a lot of the plaudits, obviously playing kind of closer to goal and everything else. But no, Tommy Doyle, very, very underrated hurler. And yeah, I think we all wish him the best. And as for Killian Clark, yeah, another kind of stalwart really within that Cavan team that won the Ulster Championship, a couple of years ago. Like he was kind of one of the big players and one of the players that was kind of heavily involved in regards to that. He's Ireland nearly scored again there. Sorry, I also have this game on in the background, lads. So do forgive me if I get distracted. But yeah, no, absolutely a phenomenal player for Cavan. And it'd be hugely missed. That it is kind of one of them where we are seeing a lot of those kind of Cavan players kind of step away. I know Grove McKernan did step away, then came back. But Raymond Gallagher's obviously, no longer playing and went on to be manager. So yeah, there is a kind of big chunk of that 2020 team that are going away. And as he said, there is a bit of negativity around Cavan football right now, which personally I don't really understand all that much. It seems to be mainly Cavan fans who seem to understand it more maybe than neutrals. But look, all we can do is wait and see what happens when the league comes around. But usually when there is a lot of negativity, like I have seen on Cavan, like on social media and Twitter and everything else, it is a little bit worrying. And you wonder, could there be more players potentially going? Obviously we have to kind of wait and see.
Probably will, yeah. And it is a shame that Killian Clark ended his career, but he gave so much to Cavan football over the years, and definitely wishing the best in his retirement, as well as Tommy Doyle, obviously, as well. Peter saying as well, the Camogie documentary was excellent, great insights and behind the scenes scoops. I watched the first episode last week, actually. It was very, very good, I thought. The skirts and shorts, the behind the scenes, obviously seeing probably on the fly on the wall kind of perspective with Ashley Marr, the Dublin Camogie player, as well, on the social media aspects of it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, in fairness. Even the little stories about even Grace O'Brien in Tipperary, her boyfriend actually plays for Drummond Inch, I think, in Tipperary as well. And they can't really see each other throughout the day, obviously, because of the commitments they gave. Like Grace, obviously, doing training day in, day out for the Tipperary Camogie team. There's gym sessions, things like that. The same for the club team with Drummond Inch as well, with her boyfriend, I think it's Kevin Hassett is his name. So yeah, it was great insights, absolutely, and definitely looking forward to the second episode tonight. Just out of matter of interest, Aaron, did you watch that first episode or hear anything about it?
I've seen a couple of posts on social media. I haven't got to see it yet, but it definitely is kind of marked away and bookmarked away as something to watch and kind of see a bit more of. But yeah, no, I've seen a lot of the reaction to it, and like what you were saying, I think it's great to kind of have that there, and without question, yeah, it seemed like something, it seemed like something kind of very, very interesting, to be fair. So definitely will have to give it a go, hopefully soon.
Exactly. So the second episode is on tonight on RT1, actually. So everybody that is enjoying the Hurling game right now, I'm sure everybody is, because we're 1-0 up through Tri-Parrot. But after that game, it is on at 10:15 on RT1 tonight. So make sure you watch that next episode. It is the last episode of the 2-part Fly on the Wall documentary, and definitely worth a check, obviously. But we'll get into the action now, and we'll start off. I normally go chronologically with these things, but we'll start off. The first game on the list is the Leinster Senior Football Championship quarter-final, but we'll put these all together. We'll start off with the game that is live on RT2 this Saturday. That is a tie of Kildare against Summerhill from Meath. This is on at 5:15 in Kedrell, St. Conleth's Park in Kildare, live on RT2, obviously. Two sides, Aaron, I suppose. They're on the opposite side of the draw as Ballyboden, and a lot of people might argue if they get to the final in Croke Park against Ballyboden, they might lose this game. Even though a tie really hammered Bolton Glass at the preliminary quarterfinal, similarly with Summerhill in their game as well. So this is going to be an interesting game. Summerhill have the likes of Owen Ferrane in their ranks. A tie, obviously the likes of Niall Kelly there and Kevin Feely in midfield. So it is going to be a very interesting game, and one to look forward to this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. It should be a cracking game. I know we all kind of, maybe gave a tie a bit of stick and everything else following the scenes kind of post-match in the Kildare football final, but there's no denying that they are a serious football team. The way, especially going to Ockram as well. I know some people would say, the standard and the difference maybe between, Wicklow club football and Kildare club football. Look, there might be a bit of a difference there, in fairness, but to go there and be so dominant and so good, I think, like it definitely does show that Athy are the real deal, and it shows that they are a quality team, as you said. Like Kevin Feely's been, I'd say, probably the best Kildare footballer, maybe pound for pound, over the last couple of years. He's been incredible, really. Like, and then as you said, with Noel Kelly as well, like he's been phenomenal as well. A couple of big goals, obviously. And big contributions in the final against Naas as well. So there's no question that this is going to be an interesting one. Like Summerhill, as well, as you said, like it's been an interesting one with Meath teams. Like you look at some of the Meath teams that have come through in recent years, and they haven't quite been able to make the breakthrough or get to a Leinster final or kind of push some of the bigger teams. And this feels like a massive chance for a team like Summerhill, with Owen Frayne in there, who look, especially in these conditions as well, like having players who can kick 2-pointers, I think is going to be a big difference. So, but yeah, like I probably would shade it towards Athy, to be honest with you, just looking at how good that they were versus Bolton Glass. But I think it's going to be, like this could be a close enough game, to be fair.
Yeah, it is going to be a very close game. There's no doubt about that. Even Ronan Kelly got 2-2 in the last game against Bolton Glass. Noel Kelly got 4 points. Colin Moran got 1 point as well. So that's 2-7 from your full forward line. That's very, very impressive, to be fair. And even you look at across the team with Athy, I know there was the social media tension and things like that, where they were talking about obviously going after Philly McMahon, the Naas manager, and a lot of people thought that was a disgrace, and a lot of people maybe jumped on the bandwagon in terms of social media there. But you have to look at Athy's talented players there. You have Kevin Feely, as we mentioned before. David Hyland is an absolutely brilliant player. He played midfield the last 10, scored 4 points, to be fair to him. That's very good scoring from him. James McGrath, he was very impressed with in the Tailteann Cup for Kildare as well, at the halfback stage, and he was Player of the Year when Kildare won the under-20 All-Ireland as well, proving that he does have like what it takes. Like a lot of people talk about the All-Stars this season and the likes of David Clifford and these sorts of players. I think James McGrath is an upcoming player for Kildare. He really is at halfback, and a lot of people talked. Obviously, Peter talked about Sean Rafferty as being a breakout star this year. I think James McGrath is certainly a breakout star. He's an absolutely brilliant player. Owen Frayne at 5 points for Summerhill in the last game. Conor Frayne is in the full forward line with Owen. I don't know, is that his brother? Maybe someone would be correct me in the comments over that as well. But you have a brilliant midfielder there in Adam McDonald there. He got 4 points the last day from midfield. And even if for the halfback line, again, from Summerhill's point of view, Jamie O'Shea, he got 1-2 in the quarterfinal as well. So there's good players all over the field for both sides. But I probably have to agree with Jaron. You look at Athy, you look at the talent that they do have, I would probably shade them to win this game. But just on Athy, do you actually feel they're underrated a small bit when you look at the talented players that they do have? And there are a lot of people, I wouldn't say blinkered in a way towards Ballyboden and winning Leinster because they're a Dublin team. But do you think, honestly, people are picking Ballyboden to win Leinster because they're from Dublin and not looking at Athy in terms of their talents? Or what do you think they can realistically achieve in Leinster?
Yeah, I think it is one of them where they probably are going, a little bit kind of under the radar. It's 2-0 Ireland, by the way. Just thought I'd let everyone know. Troy Parrott again. So he's unreal.
I am on flash score, Aaron. My app's slow.
But like hopefully it it might be a night. But anyway, back to the Gaelic football and back to Athy. Absolutely, they're going under the radar. There's no question about that, because for them to have been like as good as they looked against Bolton Glass, to have beaten Naas as well, because if Naas had come through Leinster, I think if Naas had come through Kildare, a lot of people would have been looking towards them as maybe potentially like favourites or dark horses and everything else. Because don't get me wrong, Ballyboden are a great team. There's no question about that. They have some phenomenal footballers. They've been very good. But they probably, they aren't a Kilmacud Crokes. I don't think they're a Cúilín either in that kind of sense. They can be gotten at. In the past, they have been beaten in Leinster Club Championships. They have a few older players there, who've been around the block. We have a lot of younger players who haven't really played in these clubs, in Leinster before. So, it is going to be very interesting kind of in regards to that. But yeah, I think they do definitely have a chance. And if they can come through Summerhill, then I don't think anybody should be sleeping on them.
Absolutely not. And we both back a tie to win this game. So does Peter here. But he says 2 points after extra time. That's quite an interesting score there from excuse me, in a tie point of view there. It is going to be a very interesting game, no doubt about it. A question for you, Aaron. Aaron, did you hear about the crack with Philly McMahon and Nate's conflicting stories of what is it, walked or published? I suppose like it's probably well known at this stage, like the Philly McMahon experiment, let's call it that way, in Naas was never going to work, and the proof was in the pudding.
Yeah. Like I remember there were some rumors flying around that like as soon as the game ended, he just went home. Like he just that was it. Like he just straight away, like didn't even, kind of say on to the players around like that. How true that is, I don't know. But yeah, it was one of them. Look, once they didn't come through Kildare. Yeah, there was, it was unfortunate really from his perspective, and as I said before, it was always going to be a tough gig because Naas have been so dominant for so long that if he doesn't come through Kildare, it's going to instantly be deemed as a failure, which seems harsh, is considering how good a tie actually look. So yeah, look, it's a tough one really, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Like he clearly does have an interest in management and that kind of things and coaching. I know he's been involved with Bohemians as well in the past, probably more performance related than maybe management related. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he does go into something else,
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. He actually seems like a very good pundit on the Indoor Sport podcast, so maybe he'll go back to that. Maybe he'll go back to be fair, like he seems like he has good football brain, to be fair, Philly McMahon, but it just was a bad kind of tenure in charge of Naas, no doubt about it, from a Philly McMahon point of view. Peter saying in here, I heard that he walked straight out of Newbridge after the Kildare final. It wasn't really good taste, no doubt about it. But obviously we'll move on to Sunday's Leinster Senior Football Championship quarterfinals, just to keep with the same team. We'll keep on the same side of the draw in terms of the semi-final, because Naomh Martin from Louth are playing Port Arlington for Bleach. That's at 1:30 on Sunday in integral GA round in Drogheda. Naomh Martin, obviously, they stopped RD St. Mary's Gallop in Louth, but to be fair, it was Newtown Blues that really stopped RD St. Mary's. They stopped them in the Louth Senior Football Championship quarterfinals, but Naomh Martin got their hands back up on the cup in Louth. Port Arlington beat Old Leighlin in the preliminary round in Leinster in a game that most people described as a boring enough encounter. But I suppose that's what good teams do. They get over the line, in fairness to Port Arlington there. Port Arlington do have some decent players, the likes of Colin Murphy and all them, obviously. Naomh Martin have Samuel Roy. Like, that is a very good player to have in your arsenal. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, should be an interesting game, this one. But I would say Naomh Martin might edge it, judging by previous performances. The thing is, though, Port Arlington, this is an experienced side.
It is, to be fair, yeah. Like, they have been around the block, and like Naomh Martin, to be fair, I think maybe they had I know they won Loud, I think, 1 year in COVID, so I think they've only probably had the one previous experience of playing in the Leinster Club Football Championship, so probably, yeah, maybe a little bit of inexperience in regards to that. But look, I mean, when you have a player like Samuel Roy, who's certainly very experienced, when it comes to playing big games and everything else, yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, I suppose with Port Arlington, yeah, they weren't. Look, it wasn't the best game that day, but I thought, look, defensively, they were very strong. They were able to shut off a lot of Old Leighlin's attacks, and they were able to break them down. Turnovers as well was ferocious. They were really, really strong in regards to that. So, yeah, they're probably a bit more of a control team maybe than Naomh Martin, you'd say. So there is the chance maybe in regards to that. But look, with Samuel Roy and some other players that Naomh Martin have as well, I think they might just have enough here, I think.
Yeah, I'll probably go for Naomh Martin as well in this game. Like, it is going to be very, very tight. Obviously, they need to watch the looks of, obviously, as I mentioned there, Colin Murphy got 4 points the last day. You have Rian Murphy as well, got 1-2 the last day against Old Leighlin. You have Patrick O'Sullivan there, wing back as well. So they'll be threatening players. There's no doubt about that. Peter Griffin saying here, a Louth team has never won the Leinster. Could Naomh Martin be that team? To be fair, RDC Mary's got very close last year against.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So yeah, like with Samuel Roy in your team, but the thing is, like, if they were playing like a Ballygunner in, let's say, a provincial venue, I think they definitely have a chance. But the thing is, I agree with Seamus, what he's been saying in previous podcasts. If you play a Dublin team in Croke Park, it's almost good night because they're so used to Croke Park. They're used to the surroundings of the place. It's almost like home to them. They can bounce into the stadium. And that is a factor. There's no doubt about that as well. So would you consider them as a Leinster contender?
Yeah, like absolutely, yeah. Like I think they're definitely in the mix. Like especially as we said earlier with Ballyboden, like there is an era of unknowns. Like I think a lot of people are saying Ballyboden will win this and it's case closed and everything else, probably because like a lot of the big hitters are like Naas aren't they obviously there, Port Arlington flat to deceive a little bit last season, obviously losing to Tinahely, didn't look particular, as we said, defensively strong against Old Lakeland, but didn't offer a huge amount going forward. You're looking at some of the other teams, Meath teams have kind of flattered to deceive. So like it's kind of, it is one of them looking towards Ballyboden and saying, well, like no Dublin club has not won a Leinster championship, I think since 2018 or something like that, 20, you know what I mean? It's been a long time. So but as we've seen, especially in recent years, it hasn't always been like there's been times like where teams have put, Naas have pushed Crokes in previous years, and like RD pushed Cúilín last year. So especially in winter conditions as well, there definitely is a chance there, and I think there is a chance for a team like Naomh Martin, who do have players who would be familiar like with Croke Park and everything else as well. So like I think they definitely could be a bit of an outside contender, maybe. Yeah,
they definitely could. There's no doubt about that as well. Like Naomh Martin do have some very good players, and as Peter said here, Naomh Martin by 5 points, and Aaron saying Naomh Martin win as well. I'd probably go for Naomh Martin as well. Obviously, you do have Samuel Roy there, but also you have a ticket under 20 footballer Dara Dorian at wing forward, Tom Gray there as well. Obviously, Dara McDonald. Like these names sound very familiar. I think they were from the Louth under 20 team that reached the All-Ireland final this year against Tyrone. Obviously, they lost that game, but they were competitive in that. Val Leddy as well, who was part of the Louth senior panel this year, senior setup there. He's corner forward. So look, they do have some good players, and there's no doubt about that. And they will be competitive in the Leinster Championship. And I'm predicting them, and along with Aaron and Peter, to go on and win this game as well. We'll get to the Downs and Tullamore in just a sec, but I suppose we've been talking about Ballyboden there that leads us on nicely to their game. They're playing Castletown Liam Meadows at Wexford at 1:30 p.m. in Chadwick's Wexford Park. I would say, I said it previously, I probably don't rate Ballyboden maybe as highly as some people, but I think they will get over the line in this game, barring any miracle. I think, look, Castletown have done well to win the Wexford Championship, but Wexford football doesn't seem to be up at the level even close to Dublin football. So I think this is a no-brainer. Probably Ballyboden to get over the line. But even though, could Chadwick's Wexford Park be a leveler in a way?
Yeah, potentially it could. Like it could narrow it down. Do you know what I mean? Like you would expect Ballyboden to be too strong. They should have way too much for Castletown. But look, we've saw in club championships in the past, like it is these earlier rounds sometimes where a lot of the bigger teams can get caught. And look, we saw. Obviously a different scenario in Afina St. Martin's last week. Like St. Martin's are, pushing Afina before, a lot of very good players. But going away there, it's not easy. It's a tough place to go to in Wexford Park. I remember even the Dublin County footballers going there, 21 or 22 or something like that. And we struggled that day, and we won the game, I think, by 7 or 8 points in the end when everyone thought it'd be about 20, So can be tricky at times, but I think Bowden should be too strong here. I think like this could be one of them games where maybe early on, Castletown have a couple of pops and everything else. But I think once Bowden take control of it, they should come through. I think there'll be a lot of other teams in Leinster who do come through this weekend, though, who will be keeping an eye on this game just to see where Ballyboden are at. Because look, it was huge for them to win the Dublin Club Championship. We saw teams end ducks in terms of ending weights for championships and then going into their provincial club championship and getting caught. So, like I think a lot of the other clubs who do come through this weekend will be looking at this and thinking, are Bowden going to ease through this, or could it be a little bit nervy? And that might give them a bit of confidence as well, So it's going to be interesting to see.
Very interesting comment in here from Peter. The winter conditions can add a footnote to these teams and help the underdogs in so many ways. And this is so relevant to this weekend because there is an orange weather warning in Wexford tomorrow. I think it's in Dublin as well, Aaron. So who knows? Like the pitch might be waterlogged. It might be difficult for Ballyboden. I might be clutching at straws. No doubt, I think Ballyboden will win the game as well. I think on a normal day and normal circumstances, they'll win comfortably. But could a soggy pitch, a gust of wind or something like that be something that puts the Bowden players off? Or do you think these players are experienced enough to get over the line?
Yeah, look, the experienced players of the Basquels, like that's when you need those players to kind of step up. For some of the younger lads like Dara Sweeney and a few of the others, Ross McGarry even maybe to a certain extent. For them that could be a case of that, obviously playing in tougher pitch, in winter conditions when they would have been playing in Parnell Park all the time, when it would have been a lot more smoother and everything else, that way. So yeah, absolutely. We've saw that in the past, and even last weekend as well. We saw how the conditions kind of played a part in a lot of the games. So could absolutely have an impact. And look, that'll be something that Castletown will be looking to target as well. They'll be looking to use all the advantages that they have, because when there is a team like Ballyboden there, we know how good they can be when they are at it. But I think for Bowden, if they do want to be a serious threat to winning All Ireland and everything else, I think they'll have to, they'll have to show more than just experience and calmness and everything else to come through it. Because look, it should be comfortable, but as we know in football, these things are not always the case.
Absolutely. So, and obviously, if the other game at that side of the draw as well, the Downs from Westmeath against Tullamore of Offaly, that's on a TG Cusack Park in Mullingar at 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. Interesting enough, on this pod, Liam actually said the Downs. He was doing the 5 best teams that are left in the Gaelic Football All-Ireland series, and he said the Downs were 5th, be above Ballyboden, but above many other teams as well, the likes of the Bars and the likes of Dingle and things like that as well. So, like, the Downs, like, you have Luke Loughlin there, you have Jonathan Lynham, like, you do have some very, very good players, and Luke Loughlin's worth, I'd say, 8-9 points a game. Tullamore do have some good players, the likes of Cormac Egan and the like. So DC is going to be a difficult game. But how highly do you rate the Downs? Do you rate them as highly as Liam has said the other night?
I probably wouldn't have them as high as that personally. I know. I might need to go back and listen to the show to see the reasonings behind it. I didn't quite get a chance to actually listen to it, but yeah, look, I do rate them quite highly. Look, they're a phenomenal team. There's no question about it, and we know the form of Luke Loughlin. Whether I'd have them above like a Ballyboden and maybe some other teams as well, I wouldn't be entirely so sure on that. Like, I know you mentioned Jonathan Lynham, but I'm not too sure who else they really have that could, because Ballyboden have Basquel, you have Dara Sweeney, you have Cian Darcy, you have Ross McGarry, you have a few there who can all, like Luke Loughlin's worth 8-9 points, but Basquel is probably that. And then you have other players as well, do you know what I mean, who can chip in with 3, 4, 5. But look, they are a brilliant team. There's no question about that. Especially off of the evidence of, a couple of years ago when they made a good stab at Leinster, to be fair. So yeah, there is good players there. There's no question about that coming through Westmeath. I think, is Westmeath as strong this year as previous years? Looks like Lomans have kind of dropped off a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. Like, there could be. I certainly wouldn't sleep on Tullamore either, because like they are a team that have been around the block. They've caused shocks in the past. Got some big players in there like Cormac Egan. So there is a chance there. It probably would edge it towards the Downs, to be honest with you. But this definitely is one of them where, extra time could be on the case and everything else, that could potentially go into it.
Potentially. So I feel like the Downs will be too strong for Tullamore. I do get your point that Tullamore will be a difficult game, but I'd say the Downs might get over the line in this game. Pete was saying in here, Cormac Egan had a very good year for Offaly. He absolutely did, and he will be a threat on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. So that's the Leinster Championship quarterfinals all wrapped up, and we agreed on the predictions there. So the Downs, Ballyboden, Athy and Naomh Martin look like they're going to be the favourites this weekend, but we'll have to see what happens. There are some of the comments what you think about those games. Peter saying the Downs by 3, and that'll be probably the margin if the Downs are to win this game. We'll actually move. I know this is probably skipping a day, but these are big games on Sunday in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals. We'll start off with obviously the big one, obviously the repeat of the Munster Senior Hurling Championship final last December to be precise. Ballygunner from from Waterford against Sarsfields from Cork. That's at 1:15 p.m. in Azuri Walsh Park. That's also live at TG Carr on Sunday. So lads, you know the drill. I can't say anything about this. Look, hopefully Sars can get over the line in this game against a very good Ballygunner side. But I'll leave the floor to you, Aaron, on this game.
Yeah, look, hugely excited for it. I think it's the game of the weekend, probably the game of club championships so far across the board, to be honest with you. Especially, when you look at what happened last season. Like I remember last season, there was a lot of people that were very, very confident that Ballygunner were going to win it in Sarsfields. I suppose it was an interesting one, like obviously having not won the Cork Championship and everything else that year, obviously having lost to Imachilly, who were a divisional side, hence how they got through. So it probably was one of them where a lot of people just dismissed Sarsfield straight away and went with Ballygunner. And sometimes when those things happen, you know, like it can be very easy to write off a team and they kind of have a habit of coming back and biting you. And yeah, like Sars done so much right that day. Defensively, they were brilliant. I remember Desi Hutchinson barely being able to get a sniff. Their big players struggled at times, and Sars were really, really strong in regards to that. So I think that will be the first thing. Like, and Ballygunner's intensity, I remember last year as well. Like especially in the opening half, like they were just good bit off it. They were just very flat. Not really how you'd associate a Ballygunner side usually. And look, it was interesting watching them against the Piercing, like, because for about 40, 50 minutes of that game, I thought the Piercing were the better team, to be honest with you. You know, I thought they were the better side, and you know, it was ebbing and flowing. Ballygunner had a bit of a lead, but the Piercing were just edging it back. You know, and they obviously get a big goal in the second half, and it's probably only in the final 10 minutes where Ballygunner showed their mettle and showed their kind of resolve as champions, where they were able to find an extra like 10-15% within themselves, and they were able to kind of step up the gears a little bit kind of in regards to that. So look, it's going to be a hugely exciting game. Matchups are going to be really, really interesting. Like how do Ballygunner stop a player of Jack O'Connor and the influence that he's had so far this season, and how good he's been. At the same time, I know obviously you can't speak on it, but I'm sure management and everything else be working very, very closely to see how you stop a player like Desi Hutchinson, who I thought was quiet enough against Napiershik, all truth be told, but you know, he pops up with a couple of late points to kind of make the difference. Pat Fitzgerald as well. It's going to be very, very very, very interesting. Like obviously as a neutral and as someone who does, you know, work with yourself, I obviously hope Sars do come through. If I was being honest, I probably would see Ballygunner coming through, maybe narrowly, but look, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be a very interesting game for the neutrals, in fairness. And Peter saying here, Sars by 4, I think it is. So interesting prediction there for Peter. But we'll have to see what happens. It is going to be a titanic battle. There's no doubt about that. And yeah, it should be a very interesting game. And it is live at TG Carr for anybody that can't go down to Walsh Park and watch the game. But it is an absolutely belting encounter. Awaiting on Sunday. The other semi-final is actually on at the same time, 1:15 on Sunday. Arrow Guinness from Clare against Lockmore Castleiney from Tipperary. It is live on the TG Carr app, not TG Carr or TG Carr app, because of Sars and Ballygunner being on TG Carr. Just before we discuss this game, Aaron, obviously the game is in Zimmer Boymet, Park Isog in Ennis. But to be fair, Aaron, I think this is ridiculous having both the games on at 1:15 p.m. What's that doing for the promotion of the game, really? I think unless there's a genuine reason for this, why are they both at 1:15? Surely common sense should prevail here. One of them at 1:15 and one of them at 3:15 or something else. But I don't know what's the issue there.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange, isn't it? Just it's kind of classic GA kind of common sense that doesn't really seem to ever be applied, to be honest with you. I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I know there's a lot of games this weekend across multiple provincial club championships, across multiple different codes. But yeah, it is quite frustrating, most definitely, especially for, you know, the neutrals and everything else, or even say Ballygunner or Sarsfields fans who maybe wanted to get a bit of a chance to see maybe Arrow Guinness and Lockmore Castleiney, you know, before the game or after the game. So yeah, it is a little bit disappointing, maybe because it's not, like, obviously there are other games on TV and everything else. Maybe it's not viewed as a game that maybe a lot of TV companies have looked at picking up and everything else. So maybe that's why. But yeah, no, it is a little bit disappointing, to be fair.
And as far as I know, there's no game in the afternoon, GA wise anyway, after Sarsfields and Ballygunner. So what's going to fill your day? Unless you're a Premier League fan, obviously, which I think probably most of us will be probably coach supporters or whatever. But that's not great for the game, is it? To have like a club championship day and you could watch one game live. That's not, unless you split screen, obviously. That's not doing well for the promotion of the game. I did have one game on Saturday night at High and Summerhill, unless you do have Clubber. The Clubber is an excellent service, to be fair, but yeah, it's not great really. And as Peter was saying here, who let Dougal arrange the fixtures or the times?
Oh dear, yeah, probably, to be honest with you, yeah. No, but I think to be honest, club slots or times of games in the GA has been a problem for years. To be honest with you, like. Especially with club games as well, like they're only 60-minute games and 50-minute break in between. Like, I don't see any reason why they couldn't do a double header on a Saturday and a double header on a Sunday, or something like that. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe TV companies don't want to show the games or something like that. Maybe they don't think the interest is there, but I don't know. I'd argue that there is, and I think, it is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but.
It is, but I suppose what can you do? But look at the game itself. You have Lockmore Castelline, you have the hurler of the year now in John McGrath. You have some brilliant players like the likes of Noel McGrath, and all the McGraths, in fairness, and that Lockmore Castelline team. Aero Guinness obviously won their first Clare Championship in a long while. They're still going the football as well. Some commitment from both codes there. You have Shane O'Donnell, David Reilly, Aaron Fitzgerald. Like, you do have some very good players in the Aero Guinness team as well. And this is a big opportunity for one of these sides because they haven't reached a Munster final, if not ever, in a long, long time. So this is a big opportunity for both.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I think I remember looking at it. So when I was doing my own predictions, I think Lockmore Castellini might have won maybe one Munster Championship, and I think that might have been in 2009 or 2010 or something like that. So a long time coming from a Lockmore Castellini point of view. Obviously, Aero Guinness won their first Clare title in 20 odd years. So it's been completely new for the majority or for all of their players really. So yeah, it's a huge opportunity being on this side of the draw, avoiding the Piercing, avoiding Ballygunner, avoiding SARS. And look, obviously it's one. If you can get through to the final, then it's one game, and like when you think of it as well, like if SARS go through to the final, it would have been obviously huge to get over Ballygunner, beating the team that they beat in the Munster final last season, the joy and the sort of relief and everything that will come with that. Same would apply for Ballygunner the other way. But how many times have we saw big teams coming through semi-finals and then go into the final as big favourites and slip up? It's happened all the time in Gaelic football and hurling, so it could easily happen again. So I think for either of these two, they have to try and kind of cherish the opportunity. I think for Loughmore in particular, I think the pressure's on them more just because they've done back-to-back in Tipperary. In Munster, look, they've had some tough games. They've had to play Ballygunner a couple of times, and it hasn't kind of been easy for them in regards to that. But I think it's a huge opportunity for them to get through to a Munster final. Look, John McGrath, Noel McGrath, they've been around the block for a long time. They're certainly not getting any younger. You feel like maybe this might be one last kind of opportunity or chance maybe at an All-Ireland club. There's no doubt they're thinking about it, and that's something they want to do because it's the last thing that they haven't done. And look, they might never do it because of how difficult it is. They call it the toughest for a reason, but you do feel like maybe this could be the chance. So it's a huge game. Looking forward to it, but if I had to predict it, I would say Loughmore, in my opinion, I think should have enough.
Peter's agreeing with you. He says Loughmore on balance looks stronger, and to be fair, I'd probably go Loughmore to win the game as well. But if Aero Guinness are to win the game, I think Shane O'Donnell has to be really on it for them. But we'll have to see what happens. Actually, the last two hurlers of the year are playing against each other in this game at club level. That's it's very interesting. Peter saying a lot more to win by 5. So yeah, it should be a very interesting game. There's no doubt about that as well. And the Munster Championship games are live across TG4, despite being on at the same time. But look, what can you do? We'll move on to the Ulster Senior Hurling Championship semi-final. So one is on Saturday and one is on Sunday. So going chronologically, we'll start off with the Saturday one. And it's the one where the two probably less fancied sides are on that side of the draw. These St. John's from Antrim against Setanta from Donegal. That's at 6 p.m. in Owen Big. It's great to see, obviously, Setanta, new hurling teams progress and things like that. And there'll be 4 Ulster teams in the championship for the foreseeable. Setanta, from my knowledge anyway, I don't know much about Donegal hurling, but from my knowledge, they have dominated the Donegal championship for years now. This is a big, big break for that team. St. John's obviously shot Antrim. They beat Lockheed Shamrocks, and they've beaten, obviously, most notably, Rory O'Cushendall in the semi-final. And obviously, Lockheed beat Dunnoy on the other side of the draw. So out of them 4, you would have probably expected St. John's to be the least probably likely to win the Antrim Championship, but they've gone ahead and won it. It's kind of a different approach to a game in many ways, Aaron, because they are favourites to win this game. But it's going to be interesting none the same. But do you expect Setanta to do Donegal hurling proud in this game?
Yeah, look, I think they'll definitely be bang up for it. Look, it's it's the first time they've been in the Ulster Club Senior Hurling Championship in a while. I think like a Donegal side is first time in a while that they've been here. So absolutely, yeah, I think it'll be huge for them. There's no doubt they'll be bang up for it. There's no doubt that they'll be throwing absolutely everything at this game because of the fact that what an opportunity it is, and they want to do Donegal proud. It's probably a rare. They'll probably have the whole county supporting them. In my opinion, I think Setanta. So, yeah, as you said, I don't know a huge amount about them, but I know they do have a lot of Donegal players within their ranks. So that could be absolutely huge. Look, St. John's though, I definitely don't think people should sleep on St. John's though. Like I predicted them in a recent video to win Ulster, and there seem to be a lot of people who were maybe thinking I was a bit mad predicting them to do it, especially with Slot Neal in there. But I think to have come through Lockheed Shamrocks, to come through Rory Og, it shows they are a quality side. Look, yes, they maybe don't have a huge amount of county stars within their ranks, but I think they're a very good side. Like I think Oran McManus looks a very, very skillful hurler, and maybe he could definitely be one who could make more of an impact with Antrim going into next season. And yeah, like from what I've seen in clips, a very direct team, very hard to break down at different times, and I think they should have enough to come through Setanta. Look, it will be interesting because to have ended such a long way in Antrim, now we are going in against Setanta, Donegal side away. It has the makings of a real banana skin type game for them, and for that reason, I think this will be tight and it will be close. But I would back St. John's ever so narrowly to come through.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting game. Peter singing here, Setanta and Burt, the struggles of Donegal hurling. I love that name for a club. I said it the other night, but Burt, I love that name. I don't know why, but yes, they have 2 very strong Donegal hurling teams, and the stronger Donegal hurling gets, the better. They competed well in the Christy Ring Cup as well, Donegal. So they have to. Well, I don't know, do Setanta have these players? The likes of Jory Gilmore and Liam McKinney. I'm not sure do they play for Burt or Setanta, but 2 very good Donegal players there. But yeah, I think St. John's will go ahead and win this game as well. But regardless, I think whoever wins this game will probably go into the Ulster final as underdogs, because you look at the other side of the draw there, you have Slotneed from Derry, last year's champions, obviously, against St. Pat's. Portaferry from Down, that's at 3:30 in the box at the Lenny Grounds in Armagh. That's a game that could have been live at DGR, but apparently it's not good enough for DGR. I'm not sure why. But to be fair, Aaron, I watched a bit of this Ulster final last year, and 2 very competitive sides. Slotneed obviously won it in the end, but Portaferry has some very good players. The likes of Tom McGrattan, the likes of Sands in Owen and Dahi. Obviously, Slotneed have a lot of footballers, and the likes of Brendan Rodgers and Shane McGuigan, and obviously you have Cormac O'Doherty there, who was Derry's best hurler, in my opinion, in the Christy Ring Cup this season as well. So you do have some good players on both sides of the coin there. Do you expect St. Pat's to pull off a shock? They nearly did it last year. Could they get it being second time lucky? Like Slotneed are a good side, but like Pats are a decent side too.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and I suppose like we only have to look at that game last year. Like, it was an absolute cracker, wasn't it? So yeah, it is a massive shame. And to be fair, like I remember there was like a couple of years ago there was another Ulster final. I think it might have been Portaferry involved in that as well. Like, they went extra time and everything else. So like they're, like especially with these games, it is disappointing not to kind of not to see it. Like, it would have been great for Ulster Hurling and the promotion of Ulster Hurling to have actually seen it. So really disappointing in regards to that. But yeah, look, I mean, like, Slot Neal are a team that they have been around the block for a while. They have the know-how of coming through these games and winning Ulsters and everything else. But at the same time, like Portaferry, you've got some great players, as we said, in Owen and Daithí Sands, and they're certainly no strangers to Ulster as well. So that there definitely is a chance there. And again, it's kind of like the St. John scenario as well, where like Slot Neal are going to be massive favourites, but Portaferry won't fear Slot Neal at all, and they'll definitely bring the game to them. So yeah, it is very interesting. And you know what? I think there could actually be a shock on the cards here, to be honest with you. I think maybe Portaferry might be able to pull it off,
Interesting prediction there. Really interesting. I think Slot Neal are a very good side. They're good. They're a good running team, and as well as that, they have the know-how to win this. But I can see your point at Portaferry. They are a very good side, and they have some good individual quality as well. Obviously, as shown with Dow winning the Division 2 title this year. Peter's saying here, Portaferry, kind of a long grass team. Exactly. It is going to be very interesting to see that kind of element as well. I'll go with the tried and tested. I'll go for Slot Neal, but narrowly so. I think Portaferry really tested their mettle. And you looked at the Ulster semi last year between Dunloy and Slot Neal. That was actually shown by RT, and it ended up being one of the games of the year, probably the game of the year, to be fair. So I don't know why it's not being shown on TG4 or RT. I really don't know. But look, that's the decision's been made upstairs in many ways. It is poor in so many aspects, to be fair there. But we will move on to the football game on Saturday. There's 3 more games to discuss in the senior level in the men's side anyway, and then we'll go on to Camogie, LGFA, and maybe dip into a bit of intermediate and junior at the end of the pod. We'll start off in the Munster Senior Football Championship quarter-final. It is Clonmel Commercials of Tipperary. They're facing St. Finbarrs of Cork. This is on the Clonmel Sports Field in Tipperary, 1:15 on Saturday. Interesting game, Aaron, in many ways. Clonmel beat Kilsheelan Kilcash in the Tipperary final last weekend, 126-15. That was a brilliant scoreline from them. The likes of Mickey Quinlivan and Jack Kennedy really starring for Clonmel Commercials. And obviously, Philly Ryan's son in goal. It was an emotional moment for him in many ways. And it's an emotional kind of occasion for Clonmel Commercials as well. Obviously, winning the Tipperary Championship, and I'm sure they will drive on this emotion in the quarterfinal against the Bars. But to be fair, I've seen the Bars in the Cork Championship, and they are a very good team. And the thing is, once they come out of Cork, that was the key thing. They come out of Cork, and then they're very, very good. They brought Kilcoo to extra time in the All-Ireland semi a few years ago. They still have some of them big players, the likes of Sherlock, the likes of Ian Maguire, Jamie Burns, John Wington Barrett is a new kind of recruit onto that team. Obviously, the likes of Kelly Myers-Murray on the bench. And an interesting kind of a name, Darren Newman. He's actually at the Cork senior panel next year. John Cleary has called him up. He's going to be in goal for St. Finbarrs, and he has been very impressive throughout the championship. So very interesting to see him on Saturday. But a very interesting game this between Clonmel and the Bars.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I think so, and I think when we saw what Clonmel have done in previous seasons, and in causing surprises and everything else against Cork teams, so it's definitely like when it was Nemo Rangers that they bet, a good while ago, wasn't it?
It was a few years ago, yeah. But to be fair, I don't think that Nemo team was that great, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody would correct me in the comments. I don't know what Jason Arnagren about. If he is, it's a tough game. But as far as I know, I think he's over the States still. So,
yeah. Look, it is interesting, especially when you're looking at the like some of the players that the Bars have, like they have, I think they're definitely. Sorry, I'm distracted here because Cristiano Ronaldo's just been sent off. sorry, guys. Yeah, no, I just had an elbow at someone. So there you go. We'll
get back to the Bars, no about Clonmel, obviously, just to say. But isn't it typical, Aaron, that we're doing a pod and this is all happening? Ireland are 2-0 up.
I know, yeah. Like
that's
why I didn't mind, because I was like, it'll probably be like 3-0 at half time, and then I can just turn it off. But no, everything has to be happening as we're doing this. And like, on a side note as well, as he was being sent off, it looked like he just started clapping all the fans. So yeah, little bit interesting there. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't been listening to it, so I don't know if he's been getting abused all game. But anyway, let's get back to it. No, look, I think it will be a real interesting game, and I think, as we said, with Finbar, it's like they are a team that has, pedigree. They're the type of team that I think are All-Ireland contenders. They should be All-Ireland contenders given the players that they have in Sherlock, in Ian McGuire, and many of the others as well. So there's a huge potential kind of for them in regards to that. So I think, this is a real banana skin type game, as you said. Look, Clonmel have everything to play for, and especially with Mickey Quinlivan in the side with Jack Kennedy. They've got some phenomenal players, and look, they're no strangers to this as well. So I think I think it will go to extra time, but I think the bars will just narrowly come through. I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the bars will come through it by hook or by crook. It is going to be a difficult game, no doubt about it. Peter disagrees with both of us. He says keep it tight. Crowd nearly on the field. Home support the grain of rice. Clonmel by 3 points. They are on a mission. You're some man, Peter. You're some man for predictions. That is some prediction to put out there. But I think the bars are just too strong, though. You look at this bars team. Yes, they beat Clonmel. They beat Nemo a few years ago. But that Nemo team, I don't know how they won card, to be honest with you. This bars team is very, very good, to be fair to them. You have Brian Hayes around the middle there. At the question mark, who stops him? Like, a lot of people cry sleep on Brian Hayes because he's a Cork hurler now and he isn't available for the footballers. But you've seen his goal the last day against Nemo. Like, he's just still a battering ram. He's a powerhouse. And it will be very difficult to see how the Clonmel players do stop him. But I think with the game last week as well, I know they beat Kilsheen and Kilcash comfortably. But the fact they had again, the bars have a bit of a rest period. I think that might be the grain of rice in a way as well. And I think the bars might nick it in many ways as well. And we'll move on to the Connacht semi-finals there on this Sunday as well. So we'll start off with St. Bridget's from Roscommon against Ballinasloe Stephenites and Mayo at 1:30 p.m. on Sunday in King Moffat, Dr. Hyde Park. So it is a very interesting game, this one. You would probably back Bridget's because of Ballinasloe Stephenites and indeed Mayo Club's record in the Connacht Championship. It's been absolutely horrendous over the last few years, to put it mildly. But Bridget's, like, they do have some good players, but a lot of people have been pointing out they need the likes of Sid and Kilbride, 40 years of age, to drag them out of the hole against Padraig Pearses. But then again, like, I think Padraig Pearses are a better team than Ballina. So I think Bridget's might just have enough for Ballinasloe Stephenites here.
I think so, yeah. Like, I think for Ballinasloe Stephenites, though, like, this is where they need to show how much they've progressed over the last couple of years. They need to show, that Mayo teams can compete, because look, there has been a narrative that's gone around the last couple of years, and rightly so, given that, about Mayo clubs not being able to compete in the Connacht Club Football Championship and maybe underperforming and everything else. And I don't think it's ever been because they've had a lack of players. Like, the players are there for Ballinasloe Stephenites. There's no question in regards to that. They've got some brilliant players within their ranks, and they've shown and everything else. You saw against North London Shamrocks, although they came through it comfortably at the end of the game. Like, there was stages in that game where, like, North London were putting it up to them, and they had a bit of a go at them. So I think this will be important for Ballina, because we've saw them in previous years, not just Ballina but other Mayo Club champions as well, kind of fall apart a little bit when they've come up against Roscommon teams and Galway teams and everything else. So this will be huge. There's no question in regards to that. But as you said, Bridget's defensively very, very strong. Got some excellent players kind of going the other way, in particular, and Ben O'Carroll, as we know. So Brian Stack as well, another phenomenal player. So I think they'll have enough, to be honest with you, to come through it. But I do think this will be a game where Ballina do produce and do perform and play well. But I think ultimately St. Bridget's will come through it.
Peter saying Padraig O'Hara will be a massive loss if he's still injured. I think he might be. So that is a big loss for Ballinasloe Stephenites there. And I think Bridget's will get over the line. Like, a lot of people talk about they need St. Kilbride to get over the line. This will be a dogfight, says Peter. Then again, like, Bridget's have some brilliant players, the likes of Ben O'Carroll and the like, obviously Bobby Nugent and Brian but in the full forward line as well. They do have some brilliant players, and they are proven. They've proven to win the college championship, and they know what it takes to get over the line as well. So I think Bridges will get over the line in this game. And Mike Cullen are also in action on the other side of the draw. They're playing Leitrim Gales of Leitrim, obviously, at 1:30 p.m. in Pearse Stadium in Salt Hill. Could Leitrim Gales cause a shock, Aaron? I've heard some stories that these Leitrim Gales are better than many people may think. At the same time, though, Mike Cullen were very, very impressive the last day against Shamrock Gales from Sligo. They hammered them in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, a lot of people have kind of said that to me as well, that Leitrim Gales have a chance. Like, they've got Garvin Jones within their ranks, notable for man of footballer. They've got a couple of the Joneses actually within their team. Which is interesting. I don't know the whole scenario. Maybe it's just on the kind of border between Fermanagh and Leitrim, or something of that nature. I'm not entirely sure as to how that happens. But I think it's they've definitely got some very interesting players. Definitely is a real banana skin type game from a Mike Cullen perspective. Everyone will be tipping them and seeing them as favourites, but absolutely, there's a chance for Leitrim Gales, and it'll be interesting to kind of see and keep an eye on this game, and hopefully we can get to see this somewhere, because this is one of them where there could maybe be look, I'll be very surprised to see the upset happen, but this could be one of them where you're keeping an eye on score BO with 10-15 minutes to go and Leitrim Gales are winning by a point or something like that, that way. So look, I would go for Mike Cullen. I think they should be far too strong. It will be interesting to see if Peter Cook is still in the team. I know he came back from the States to kind of play, in the final and the semi-final, and everything else, came off the bench about those games. So it'll be interesting to see if he is still kind of with Mike Cullen for the rest of this club championship. And then you've got Desi Keneally there, who's a very, very talented forward and been doing it for Mike Cullen for a good couple of years now. So and look, to come through Salt Hill, I know they were missing John Maher, but there's some phenomenal players within their ranks. So to come through them shows Mike Cullen of some great players. So it's going to be an interesting one to see. But I think Mike Cullen should be too strong.
Yeah, I think they will as well. Like, any team that beats Salt and Nottingham are very, very impressive. Peter saying in here, Mike Cullen to win by 8. So it should be a very interesting game in many ways. And we're all predicting Mike Cullen winning this one, but Leitrim gets to really put it up to them. There's obviously a few LGFA and Camogie games. It is shortening in the LGFA and Camogie championships because the All-Ireland finals there are set just, I'd say, a week before Christmas, in and around that period. So it is going to be very interesting to see the end of those championships. So there's one game of note in the LGFA championship this weekend. It is the Ulster senior final between Errigal Kieran of Tyrone and St. Ergnut's Money Glass from Antrim. This is on at Brewster Park in Enniskillen at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Obviously, St. Ergnut's, they beat Clonairon, who we all predicted would win Ulster and who have been dominating Ulster over the last few years, so they can't be discounted for that. That is a superb result. Errigal Kieran, obviously, with the men last year, they've reached the All-Ireland final. With the ladies there, you still have the Canavans, the likes of the Maria Canavan and all them players, Aoife Horsk as well. You do have some excellent players in the Errigal Kieran team. So Tyrone obviously won the intermediate LGFA title this year, so that county may be on the up. It's a very interesting game to call because Ergnut's caused the shock of all shocks in this Ulster semi-final, whereas Errigal Kieran seemed like they're a club on the up. So it's an interesting one to predict.
Absolutely, yeah. And especially to beat Clonairon, a result that nobody really expected. And they from seeing clips of them and everything else, they seem to be a very fast, aggressive team. Play a bit of a running game as well, and kind of caught Clonairon cold really in the match. A lot of turnovers and everything else kind of made the difference that day. But as you said, look, Errigal Kieran are the experienced team with Maria Canavan in there and a few others like you mentioned. So be interesting to see. Look, Clonairon got caught. There's no doubt about them. And that's the magic of club championships sometimes. Big teams can get caught and sometimes you might not know how good another team particularly might be on any given day. So it'd be interesting to see, with these kind of shocks, usually you'll see them once. But to see it again would be huge, and I think it would blow the championship wide open. And look, maybe it might be what football will need is to have something like that. But I'd still think Errigal Kieran will be too strong and should probably come through by 3 or 4. I think.
Yeah, I think Errigal will win the game as well as Aaron. So does Peter. He thinks Errigal will win this game by 4. Could be a very tight game, and definitely agree with that. I think Errigal Kieran will win this game as well. In this one, I think the winners of this play Kilmacock Crokes in the semi-final. So it is going to be a difficult assignment, whoever comes through this game, but it will be a massive achievement whoever wins Ulster. So we'll have to see what happens there. There's also a couple of Camogie senior finals to look at as well. So starting off with the Leinster one, it is Dixborough from Kilkenny, who I think we all predict. Oh no, you predicted St. Vincent's. Sorry, Aaron. Dublin to win the Leinster Senior Camogie Championship, but all three of myself, Liam, and Seamus predicted Dixborough to win this championship. They face Albert the Bala from Wexford in SCTU Carlow at 3:30 on Sunday. Interesting enough game, like you have the likes of Aoife Prendergast and Jenny Clifford and some excellent players there on the Dixborough team, and they are seasoned. They won the All-Ireland in 2023 as well. Albert the Bala, they did beat St. Vincent in the semi-final and beat them quite comfortably as well, and have the likes of Anish Curran around that team as well, have some excellent players. So you would expect Dixborough to win the game looking at it on face value, but Albert are definitely capable of a shock as shown in the semi-final.
Absolutely, yeah. The way they brushed Vincent's aside really was very impressive, and it definitely wasn't a result obviously that I expected given my prediction and everything else, and just given how Vincent's had progressed in recent seasons, I thought they would have had enough for a game like that. But no, Ullart were brilliant that day, in fairness to them, and you would expect Dixborough to have enough, especially with some of the players that you mentioned there. The experience within their group and what they've achieved in the past, and there's some tremendous players within their ranks, to be fair. But it's one of them where Ullart could push Dixborough quite close, but I still think Dixborough should come through it. So yeah, like if we were to predict that, I'd probably say by 4 or 5 maybe, or something like that.
I'm going to go Dixborough by 3, and Peter saying here Dixborough by 2 after extra time. Interesting predictions from Peter tonight as well. And the final senior game of the weekend, it is another Camogie final, this time up in Ulster. You have Lochiel Shamrocks from Antrim, who we all predicted to win this championship. They're coming up against Clonduff from Down. It is on the Boxer Athletic Grounds in Armagh at 1:30 p.m. as well. So I think it's actually a double header with the Slotneil and Portaferry game, if memory serves me correctly. I think it could be actually. Double checking the fixtures now. I think it actually is a double header. It's a double header with Slotneil and St. Pat's Portaferry. They do double headers. That's brilliant.
Wow.
At least. So to be fair, just on the side note, first of all, that's actually good for the game in terms of spreading Camogie and hurling up in Ulster in terms of the club coverage in many ways as well. In terms of the game itself, like Clonduff, I don't know much about them, I'll be honest with you. But according to DIB quick round by Aisling O'Reilly, I think it was, she was saying the Clonduff are a very tough opposition for anybody. So, like, it is, I'd imagine Clonduff will come up trumps in this game. But Lochiel have the likes of Katrine Dobbin in the team, obviously Roisin McCormack up in the forwards, probably not just one of the best players in Antrim or Ulster, the best player, probably one of the best in the country. So Lochiel probably have the talented individual quality, but Clonduff probably have the shock ability. So who will come through here?
Yeah, look, I think Lochiel should have enough, given their experience and the quality of players that they have. But yeah, like from reading about Clonduff and everything, they do seem to be a very physical team. So they'll probably try and make this a bit of a kind of slugfest, and kind of try and I suppose outwork and physical presence and everything else to try and out-muscle, maybe might be the right term, this Lochiel Shamrocks team. But yeah, no, I think Lochiel should be too strong to come through. I think that they've proven it over Ulster in the last couple of years and how good they've been. So I think they'll do it.
Yeah, I think Lochiel will get over the line as well. Again, very interesting for Ulster Camogie, but we'll see who gets over the line there. There is another game at Camogie as well this weekend. The Leinster Intermediate Camogie final. It is the Fida Meath against Camross of Laois. That's at 1 p.m. on Sunday. And then in LGFA, you have the Ulster intermediate LGFA final on Sunday. Bridge O'Neill's from Monaghan against Knockbride from Cavan. That's at 12:30. And then the Ulster Junior LGFA final, you have Cavan Gales of Cavan against Cúilín and Sarsfields from Monaghan. That's at 2 p.m. on Saturday. The Ulster Junior LGFA Championship, just running through a few lower tier games in the club as well to look out for this weekend. In the Connacht Intermediate Football Championship semi-finals, you have Kilmina from Mayo against Cúilín, Mullen and Brina from Sligo at 1:30 p.m. And also at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, you have Alan Gales of Leitrim against Strokestown from Roscommon. That's at 1:30 on Saturday. In the Leinster Intermediate Football Championship quarterfinals, you have Tower Clare of Westmeath against St. Martin's of Wexford at 1 p.m. Interesting there, St. Martin's with a football team. Could they do the double there in hurling and football in Leinster? It should be very interesting to see that as well. The other games on Saturday are at 1:30 p.m. in the Leinster Intermediate Football Championship quarterfinals. You have Kilbride of Meath against Salins of Kildare. And I think Peter was mentioning that game there. Lads in the Leinster Intermediate, keep an eye out on Salins. They are flying, will be facing Kilbride in Navan this weekend. Should be a very interesting game there, I'd imagine. Kildare Intermediate clubs do very well in Leinster. Allenwood and Carr, previous winners of this. Camross and Camogie are flying the Hammered Nace. So I'd probably say Camross will be favourites in the Leinster Intermediate. Camogie Championship as well. Also in the Leinster Intermediate Football Championship quarterfinals, you have Clara of Offaly against Round Towers Lusk of Dublin at 1:30 p.m. and Hunterstown Rovers of Louth against Park Niska from Laois on Saturday as well. In the Connacht Intermediate Hurling Championship semi-final, you have St. Gabriel's of London against Turin of Mayo. That's at 1 p.m. on Saturday. In the Ulster Intermediate Hurling Championship semi-finals, you have one on Saturday and one on Sunday. In the game on Saturday, you have Carrickmore of Tyrone against Glenariff O'Sheen from Antrim. That's at 4 p.m. on Saturday. And then the game on Sunday is Lisbella St. Pat's from Fermanagh against Castleblaney from Monaghan. That's at 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. As well as that, you have the Ulster Junior Hurling Championship final. Borta, as we mentioned before, with Donegal doing well with Setanta. They're facing Lavey at 1:30 p.m. in the Ulster Junior Hurling Championship final. The Munster Junior Hurling Championship semi-finals, Care of Tipperary against Kilrossity from Waterford at 1:15 p.m. And a game that's easy interest for the Southern Star this week as well. Knockaderry of Limerick against Kilbrittain from West Cork, from around my area. They're playing at 1:15 in Knockaderry on Saturday, and there is an interview in the Southern Star this week with the Kilbrittain manager Joe Ryan, so check that out if you haven't already in this week's paper, and obviously buy the BE paper and things like that. In the Ulster Junior Football Championship semi-final, you have St. Pat's Donagh from Fermanagh against Clocker Erogue of Tyrone. That's at 1:30 on Saturday. And also on Sunday in the Ulster Junior Football Championship semi-finals, you have Emmy Vale of Monaghan against Munter Connacht of Cavan. That's at 1:30 p.m. Then on Saturday as well, you have the Leinster Junior Football Championship quarterfinals. St. Bridget's Kilishi of Longford against Sheila Coolboy of Wicklow. That's at 1:30 p.m. All the games in the Leinster Junior Football Championship quarterfinals are at 1 p.m. You have Fighting Cocks of Carlow against Clonagale of Meath. You have Ballynagore of Westmeath against Barcelona of Europe and Spain, obviously. And then you have Grange Nolven of Kildare against Clockbawn of Wexford. In the Connacht Junior Hurling Championship semi-finals, you have Cúilín of Leitrim against Aesky of Sligo, and Ballinasloe of Galway against Moytura of Mayo. In the Ulster, that was mentioned already, the Ulster Junior LGFA Championship. In the Munster Intermediate Hurling Championship semi-finals, you have Tallow of Waterford against O'Callaghan Mills of Clare. That's at 1:15 on Sunday. And you have Upper Church Drumban of Tipperary against Ballinhassig of Cork at 1:15 p.m. on Sunday. In the Connacht Junior Football Championship semi-finals, you have Ockfas of Leitrim against Carna Cashel of Galway at 1:30 p.m. and St. Crohn's of Roscommon against Kiltima of Mayo at 1:30 p.m. as well. So that is all the games wrapped up in this episode. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. Just a few more comments in here from Peter. Good luck, Matt, on Sunday, Matthew. Sars Abu. Thanks very much, Peter. And hopefully Sars do get over the line against Ballygunner. Another comment in here from Peter. Great show, lads. Thanks a million. And have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. See you Sunday. Absolutely. Thanks, Peter, for commenting on this show. Thanks to Aaron for joining on this show as well. Thanks to everybody that viewed this show as well. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff as well. We'll see you on Sunday for the review show of all the action over the weekend. So until then, we'll see you all then. Take care and enjoy the games at the weekend.
your instinct, baby.